Hi friends, this is Aylin Aydin, your astrologer and tarot reader, and this is your seasonal tarot reading for the spring of 2021. In this seasonal tarot reading, there's a couple of things that we're going to be going over. So I'm going to outline every single one of those things that we're going to be going over before we get started. So this reading covers everything you need to know for the spring season of 2021. The first thing that we're going to start out with, though, is a collective message reading with all of the elements. And as we go through the elements and through the cards that I have pulled for the elements, I will be explaining what it all means. The second thing that we're going to go over is the tarot reading for your personal sign that covers each of the lunar phases during this season. The first phase that we're going to be focusing on is the new cycle beginning with the new moon in Aries. The second phase we'll focus on is the new cycle beginning with the new moon in Taurus. And then the third phase that we're going to be focusing on is the new cycle that begins with the new moon in Gemini. Let's get started with the collective message. Now, the collective message is going to consist of 5 elements that we're going to cover for this entire season. It is going to be fire, water, earth, air, and space. And as we cover these, I'm going to give more examples of what the elements stand for. Now, majority of us already know or have a relationship to these elements that I'm going to be going over. But if you're drawn to certain elements, make sure you come back and listen to them again. Or you could also just put together a bigger kind of message for yourself through your sun, moon, or rising sign. Now, the very first thing that I'm going to be covering is the element of fire. Fire stands for the self, for our body, for the way in which we use our strength, mind, body, spirit all together to put things into action. It's also an element that stands for action. And the collective message here, the 2 tarot cards that fell out, was the 4 of Swords and the 8 of Pentacles reversed. So what we can expect during this spring season is that we're going to feel a little bit restless. We're also going to feel restless because we're trying to figure out and narrow down what it is that we should be focusing on. And I think that that is the reason why this was reversed, because a lot of our focus during this spring season is going to be on everything that we're trying to accomplish, or we're trying to ignite a new path. So there is sort of this moment here where a lot of our actions will be sort of coming with a lot of intensity. And I think that it's also going to be focusing a lot on just giving ourselves an opportunity to begin again and to move forward again. Now, with the fire element, there is also an oracle card that I have felt drawn to pull for this spring season, and that is the dolphin. And it says, embrace your inner child. And I really feel that what this message is all about is that we are to look at the things that we truly, truly love. Now let's move on to the water element. The water element, there's a bunch of cards that fell out here. So we're going to go through it one by one. The water element is our emotions, but really what is being reflected in our day-to-day. What kind of emotional currency are we going to be moving through all throughout this season? I think that when we are coming up to the full moon in the first lunar cycle, what we are discovering is that there is a strength that is returning within us. The Queen of Wands fell out. It's really just going to be about a strength, or we're going to discover a moment here. It's going to be an aha moment that, you know, gives us sort of an answer that we have been looking for, and it reignites our faith. That's what I'm seeing here with the Queen of Wands. The second card that fell out is the 7 of Wands reversed. I think that we're going to feel quite kind of tired by the time we get to that full moon. The reason for that is because, again, the energies are very intense during the beginning of this spring season with that new moon cycle in Aries. And there's just a lot that we're trying to accomplish in a short period of time. So it seems that's what the cards are showing us here. But even if even if we take a look at the astrological transits, that is what we're seeing as well. We're moving forward. The energy is moving us forward. And so what we are discovering during this time is that this is our opportunity to step into our destiny, our fate. There's a lot of fated events that might be unfolding in your life. And if this really speaks to you, this is going to be a moment where you have to sort of take a moment to gauge if this opportunity is worth pursuing, right? Because opportunities are going to be arising, but not every opportunity is going to bring us what we're looking for. And so here you must remind yourself of the past. Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is basically saying, are you repeating something from the past because you're trying to, get a particular emotion back into your life? But does it have to come through this one thing? Does it have to be through this one person? Does it have to be through this one company, this one, job, this one path that you thought all of your life would be the only way that you would feel accomplished? The Five of Cups here is saying, is this really what it is that you're trying to accomplish, or are you repeating the past? Make sure you're listening to your heart. Make sure you're listening to the clues, right? Like take a moment to gather all the information and then see emotionally what feels right. Because, your own inner heart wisdom knows the answers. And I think that's what the Five of Cups is saying here. You must take the past into consideration. Now, the spiritual guidance card is Sandbar. Okay, it says discovery of new pathways and opportunities. Yes, absolutely. There is going to be new pathways and opportunities. But again, we must actually look for those opportunities as well during the season. So a lot of it will come to us. But then if you feel that you're repeating the past, there is going to be another way. There is going to be another way. And you must stay open in order to see it. And that's what I'm seeing here. So emotionally, what are we taking a look at? We're taking a look at, focusing on being hopeful and focusing on being curious, focusing on love. Do we love it? Yes, no. That is how we're gauging all throughout this spring season. For the earth element, the one tarot card that fell out here is the Two of Wands. This is so interesting because I really feel that we are going to be looking at how to put value back into our life through the lens of where we belong emotionally. Where do we belong in the world emotionally? What is it we desire? Who are the people that need to be in our lives or that we envision that are in our lives, right? So these are the things that we're going to be looking at. I also feel like a lot of us will be finding new sets of values because our values have changed. So that is another really big thing, I think, with the Two of Wands. It's a very simple message for the earth element. Now, for the spiritual advice, we have Poseidon. Emotions are intense. Be cautious of how you treat others. So I really do feel that because we're going to be in a very passionate season, I think that what a lot of us can expect is that we're going to be clearing a lot of misunderstandings in our relationship dynamics. That's number one. I also think that we're going to be clearing the way for us to know now where we emotionally belong in the future. I think that that is going to be a very big role based on our values. We're to ground ourselves in this area emotionally and to look for genuine connection. I think that is going to be another really, really big part here. Now, the other thing that I'm seeing with this Poseidon card is that there is sort of this moment where we could be creating a storm in our lives, which is what Poseidon really represented anyway in Greek mythology. He was feared for being the person that created storms. And so I think that what we are to watch out for is how we're communicating our values to other people, because during this time, we could be emotionally very sharp. And what we're saying could really hurt another person. And so I think that we have to be mindful of how we are communicating what it is that we feel on the inside out there. There is also going to be new information that is going to come up that will help everyone to connect the dots. There is more information that's coming up for the collective, for out into the open, for people to see, that will allow for us to connect the dots. This will have to do with science. This will have to do with scientific research. This will also have to do with anything that needs more scientific research. And so I think that during this time, we're going to feel very passionate. For the air element, our intellect, the way in which we are going to be thinking, the way in which we might communicate, or the way in which we get inspired, we have the 9 of Wands. I think that what we're realizing is that there are certain things in our lifestyle that we are now seeing in the collective way that is just not worth defending anymore, or is worth defending. So we're going to have both sides here. I also am seeing with the spiritual advice card, Bird of Paradise, embark on a new adventure. Yes, there are going to be new ways in which we're wanting to dissolve past boundaries so that we can live our life in a different kind of a way. So there could be moments where you might just sort of decide that you want to do something very different because the opportunity presents itself. And I think that the way that you want to do this something different is going to come through is by you getting sort of a piece of communication that empowers you. I think we can really count on that, especially during May when we get into that new moon cycle, or that entire phase with the new moon beginning in Taurus. I think what's going to happen is that we're going to be in this place where we're going to want to reach further beyond what we used to do in our day-to-day. And now that opportunity is there. Now we're wanting to grab that opportunity and we want to go with it. I also think that there is going to be a lot of people that will start to share what has happened to them in the last year and a half, who they've become, who they've seen, what has happened, to them, and what exactly the shifts are that are happening within them. For the last element, which is space. Space basically representing what are we to hold space for in our lives during this particular season. The one card, tarot card that fell out is the Page of Wands. And that is interesting. The Page of Wands is like a new learning curve about ourselves. So we're going to continue to learn more about who we're becoming. We're also going to be continuing to learn about how to trust the actions that we're taking. I think that there is this moment where we are to trust, especially right before the eclipse, we are to trust that what is happening and what is unfolding in our lives is exactly what is meant to be. Because some things are fate, and then some things will also mix with fate and our free will, obviously. But here, the Page of Wands basically says, look, you have to trust the feeling that you have. You have to trust the value that you have in your life. And it is leading you, it is guiding you somewhere. And it might be a new intimate connection that you have with people, with your career, with certain values in your life, and you are to trust it. And the spiritual message cards, there's 3 of them that came out. The first one is anchor. Be hopeful, choose optimism. I think that there can be some cynicism that could come up, right? If the card were to be reversed, if we don't take the opportunity, even though the energies are very good and the energies will be guiding us into a new perspective that we can anchor into, that we can have faith and hope over, that we can have optimism over. So as the collective, we are learning how to trust the actions that are being taken. And then there's also going to be moments where we're going to see who we cannot trust. Because it always goes both ways, right? It's not just one way, like everything is rainbows and lollipops, it is going to go both ways. And so I think that there is going to be moments where we will actually see that we cannot trust this one person, or we've trusted the wrong kind of, situation. And so that is going to come up as well. And the second spiritual message for trust and holding, new kinds of trust in our life is the fish. And again, the foundation for it is going to be, what are we trusting? Who are we trusting? And first and foremost, are we trusting ourselves so that the balance can come in? The third spiritual message is the starfish. Trust your instincts. So what's interesting about the starfish is that the starfish is a very complex creature. It actually doesn't have a brain. It has a very complex nervous system. The starfish also speaks about the fact that when we take a look at the starfish and the life of the starfish in and of itself, it relies on its environment for survival. So these types of themes are going to be coming up. The space that we're coming into, especially when we get into the Gemini season, there is going to be moments where we're going to realize that there are certain dependencies that we have in our environment that are being betrayed. And because they're being betrayed, we are now to trust a new path. We're now to trust something else. And where is that something else going to come from? You know, this is what we're looking at with the starfish, right? There is a betrayal of some sort that is going on to the values that we used to hold, or we thought we were putting all of our trust into this one thing in our environment, whether that's the food industry, whether that is some kind of, area of our life specific to where we live in our environment, that now we see is actually not what it is. And I think that with the starfish, it is hope. The message is hope that we can overcome betrayal. And the way that we can do that is by bringing the communication, or bringing basically an appreciation back to respecting ourselves and nature, respecting our environment, respecting the very thing that has been, where the boundary has been crossed. I think that's what we're seeing with the starfish here. It's really, really interesting. So between these three, anchoring down, finding the balance, and the starfish, there is something big that is going to start to come up in Gemini season, new forms of communication in your particular environment that will impact or have an impact that is not so favorable. And it has to do with some kind of betrayal, or some kind of, where the boundaries are being crossed for money, where there is sort of actions being taken without the consideration of the greater good. Something like this is going to be coming up during Gemini season. And I think that what we are being asked here is to hold space for that to happen, because sometimes we just don't know that certain things are going on in the background. So this is something that is going on in the background that is going to come up to the surface. And I think that what we are to do is actually hold space for that, because we are to help each other during this season to really come back to our center, a center to respect who we are, and a center to respect what is happening in our lives. Because when things go in the wrong direction, we need a moment to actually see why they went into the wrong direction. So I think that the starfish is communicating that through this card right here. So that's what I'm seeing here for the space element. Now, before we dive into your sign, I do want to quickly mention that I do offer readings in person, and I also do video recordings that I do send to you with a private link. And if you would like to book any of my readings, that information is in the description box below. Right now, I do have a tarot reading, which is a video recording that I do for you personally, that is on sale, 30% off. So if you're interested in working with me a little bit closer, then you can book that reading. And everything that you need to know, again, is either at upriseastrology.com or in the description box below. So now let's take a look at your personal zodiac sign. You can listen to your sun, moon, or rising, or you can listen to all three if you know it, to kind of get a bigger reading and to know what is going to be coming up over the next 3 months. Hi Aquarius, welcome to your reading. It is going to be a very good reading, I feel like. That's the first feeling I'm getting for you guys. And of course, I want to remind you, this is now going to be for the new moon in Aries phase that starts on the 11th. And the very first card that we see here is the Knight of Cups. And the feeling that I'm getting from this card is that you guys actually, in the last season, you had made some plans, you had started something, but then you realized that it was not time yet for those particular plans. So you're coming into the season having to maybe let go of those plans for now, because you're still waiting on someone. You're waiting on a person. you're waiting on someone in particular, you're getting yourself ready, or you're also sort of in communication with someone really, really important in your life, whether that is now romantic or not, it does not matter. But this relationship dynamic plays a big role because there are some plans to be made for the future. And so letting go of plans for now is what I'm seeing, that you are kind of in that kind of a space for this particular phase. Now, the Queen of Cups is a time that is going to be about love for you guys. You have your mind's eye on love, but you're also in a place where it is fierce love. And we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper. We're just kind of going over the cards right now just to kind of point out some of the themes, and then we're going to dive in deeper. The Wheel of Fortune, what an incredible position for the Wheel of Fortune in this reading. That third position, so we've got, 6 cards, that third position, there is going to be an opportunity now that is going to be expanding for you that has a lot to do with money. It has a lot to do with value. It has a lot to do with increasing value and self-worth, which we're going to dive into that also. You will also be using your voice somehow for this opportunity. You're using your voice. I see that it has to do with speaking, voice, singing for some of you. Something like this is coming up. Also, we have the Magician followed from Queen of Cups, Wheel of Fortune, the Magician. Wow, this is going to be a time of balance, but it's also a time of abundance. Again, the Magician is the beginning. The Magician is powerful. The Magician is able to take the lower frequencies and bring them up. The lower frequencies aren't really something necessarily that are bad, but he's bringing the earthly frequencies that are a lot more in a grounded, like lower frequency, and he is using those from the ground up to make something happen, right? So here in the card, we're seeing that. In the other traditional tarot card, we see that he's got everything out on the table and he's able to use the tools that he has in order to make something happen. So this is going to be your superpower this month. This is where you're going to be grounding yourself into, which also is bringing you some practices that are going to be worthy of your time. We're going to dive into that. The Hermit is letting us know that you are in a place where you're moving on from contemplation. You're moving on from clearing stagnant energy by just simply focusing on yourself. I feel like a lot of you have come into from 2020 into 2021, knowing that it was time maybe to move on, but you're slowly headed in that direction. It's not something that you're pursuing like right away tomorrow. You're just coming out of it. And again, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper. So we've got, basically the opening reading has a lot to do with exploring your emotions and then also solidifying a lot of the emotions, coming more into love, embracing really a lot of love in your life. And we have a lot of major arcana that follows it. Like, what a beautiful opening to this reading for you, Aquarius. And so we have some workers out there. So if you're hearing in the background the people working on mowing the lawn, that is also your omen. Have you been gardening? I just want to know. Let me know in the comment section below. Jupiter is in my 3rd house, so it always speaks to me in the day-to-day activities, omens, signs, a lot of the signals as to like the readings that I'm doing. So I'm just always curious to know, that the mowing of the lawn, the guys have been going back and forth, like between the area that they're in. So I feel like that was a sign. Maybe you need to garden, or maybe you are focusing on gardening or having to do some housework or work outside. So anyway, that is going back to the Hermit. This is a time where you have sort of really focused on letting go of certain patterns in your life as well and replacing them with other ones, ones that were just allowing for you to do more work in the background on yourself. We're going to dive into what we need to know about that though. And then the World card, which I feel like the World, very often for me in my readings, it is a time of completing a very important cycle. A phase that we have been working on. I feel like for you, this has been since 2018. This is a phase that you're going to be completing, because what comes after this particular cycle that you're in, when you go into the new moon Taurus time, which I'm super excited to, get into that reading for you as well, you are going to be in a growth period. But unlike any other time, this growth period that you were in, this had a lot to do with living fully. And you're going to come to a very big realization of that towards the end of this cycle. When this moon starts to die back into the sun, which is going to be the dark moon phase, for you, that world card is going to be like, unlike any other time. It is going to be so deeply connected and felt within, that it is a time that you are closing, and it was a time that you needed to learn a lot about your own fears. And that is what I'm getting from this, okay? There's more to be said about all of this, but we're going to dive now into each and every one of these cards. And the first thing that I do want to do is I want to pull the first round of cards. I really am curious about every single one of these cards, so we're just going to clarify every one of them. I don't always do that, but for today's reading, I feel like this is going to be something that is necessary. So the Knight of Cups. This Knight of Cups has to do with you indulging in all of the things that bring pleasure. And this also has to do with learning what those things are, what really gets you going, what are some of the things that you're getting into that are new. But it could also be something really mundane that you're doing, but all of a sudden you're realizing this month you're going to pick up this habit, you're going to pick up this passion, you're going to be engaging yourself into this thing or this person, or you could be doing it together. And so I see that there's going to be something experimental as well. There's a discovery of this that is happening. You are putting effort into it, and there is a ton of conversation that is coming out of it. So the conversational piece is going to be a huge portion for you. And I also feel like that you are going to discover during this time ways on how to love with your whole essence, like your whole body, your whole being, your everything. There is an emergence of this that's coming from that Knight of Cups into the Jack of Clubs. We're seeing that you're releasing sort of a level of control and easing your way into how to love life, how to indulge in pleasures, how to connect as a result of it in your relationship dynamics. Like we're seeing that here with the Jack of Clubs. And that's what I think is going to be the predominant energy for you all throughout this cycle. You're learning kind of how to dive deeper into it. And so there's sort of a celebration at the end also that comes out of it. Of course, there's a celebration that comes out of it. Six of Hearts. This is already such a lit reading. So Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is an energy, I think, that you are starting to realize that you're mastering love in your life in a relationship. And then for some of you, it is going to be in a particular passion, something you're so passionate about, but it's very Venusian in nature. So it has to do with like arts and, things that you are very drawn to. Magnetism, the word magnetism is coming up here for me, for you, Aquarius. So the Queen of Cups here, it's basically with the Six of Hearts, a combination that you are, this thing that you're doing, that you are going to dive into this month more of, which has to do with the arts, with the Venusian aspects of your life. So I highly recommend looking where Venus is at in your chart all throughout this month. If you're into astrology, if you know, this is where you're starting to gain emotional strength and mastery. And that is huge. This is starting to kick in. And it also has to do with having fun, being in the now, connecting to people in the now, connecting to ideas. And what comes out of it is that because you're staying open to this aspect of your life, you are sort of coming upon a new place. I see a destination. I see a map. That's what's coming into my vision right now. I see a map. I see like, you're sort of opening up the map and going like, where else can I go from here? Whether that is in the literal sense or whether that is like in the exploration, in the discovery of what else is possible from here. But there is sort of like a very inspiring moment that emerges. So you're shining the light on, maybe as a result of this, it fuels an idea that brings you money. It also fuels an opportunity that does come through. The Wheel of Fortune here is an opportunity because you are going to be starting something brand new. And you weren't planning on it. It comes out of nowhere. You weren't really planning on it. It wasn't something that you said to yourself that you were going to do. I think that you are going to be able to create new money from here as well. Money is attached to this, even though we don't see the money cards yet. That Wheel of Fortune with the Magician, somehow it is going to really illuminate a new long-term, this is going to be long-term idea that starts to become reality. You start to put reality, forms of, manifestations now, actions into play. Slowly, nothing too rushed, nothing too like fast, but something about this thing that you're going to be doing reminds you of the past. That is another thing that comes up for me for you, but we're going to take a look at it. So the Wheel of Fortune, exactly what does it have to do with? Let's take a look. 2 cards that came up. Yep, you're ready emotionally to take on this opportunity that comes as an offer by someone who is in a position that they can offer you something like this. And look at that. We have the best money card right over here, which is the Queen of Diamonds. So you're going to be asked to perhaps oversee a particular project. I feel like you are going to be kind of asked maybe to put things together for this. I don't know if it's people or if it's resources, but you're being asked to put something together, like a smaller group of people, or there's something here where you have to bring the resources together. And this offer is going to be coming through out of nowhere. So I would say that probably anytime between the full moon and the end of this moon cycle, it is going to sort of start to really come into a fuller picture for you. But again, it reminds you of the past because of that King of Hearts energy. And you are wanting to not repeat the past. 9 of Hearts. You're not wanting to repeat the past. You're not wanting to repeat the same sacrifices from the past, because something about that made you feel maybe that you were so committed that it wasn't allowing space for these 2 cards that we just discussed, which is doing the things you love, right? Doing the things that like allowed for you to have a give and receive sort of relationship. Because the 6 of Hearts, I'm just like, there's a lot that's coming through. That's why I slowed down with my talking. I just am like trying to put words into what I'm seeing here. The thing is that you don't have to worry about it. The fear is just coming up because you are to recognize that this thing that you're doing now and you are saying yes to is nothing like anything you've ever experienced, because it's going to give you a perfect balance. The reason for that is because sometimes things come back from the past. They remind us because we are to really allow for that emotion to come up so that we can dissolve it. And I really do feel that for you, Aquarius, this is going to be one of those moments. You will not be repeating that from the past, because right now you are in the Queen. Look, we have the Queen of Cups, we have the Queen of Diamonds. You have a lot of the major arcanas that are beautifully synchronized in this reading. It's nothing going to be like it was from the past. You will not be so stuck that you're giving every ounce that you have to this thing. You will have room because this person is going to give that to you, or whoever you're working with is going to create that sort of space for you to be able to do it. So I think that what happens here is that because there is this realization that does come through. You're going to be able to practice self-care as a result of it. Okay, these are the self-care cards right here. Doing the things that really just allow for you to disconnect, which you need to do. You need to be able to disconnect from the things that you're feeling like you also want to have, a play in, a part in that kind of thing that you're doing for money exchange, but you also need to be able to discover other things. So I think that you want that room and you're going to get it. That's what I'm seeing here, okay? The Hermit is interesting. You're coming out of a time of contemplation. Oh, this card. Haha. Yep. You're coming out of a time of contemplation because it had a lot to do with something really rocked you. Like there's an experience you've made, perhaps starting in 2018, that had a lot to do with your personal power. It had a lot to do with who you were and also with people misunderstanding you. What I'm seeing here is that you have this experience, or you had this experience with a lot of people who didn't maybe know how to meet you where you were at, because you were able to kind of see things not from a place of the power that you had nothing to do with you making yourself feel better. There's different types of energies we participate in. Sometimes the energies we participate in have a lot to do with how we are, how we're not feeling. And then we create sort of this, with a lot of effort, we create this kind of an experience where we get some, but we're not fully in it. I hope that this made sense. So nothing that I'm saying to you, I know is new. I know that you know it, but because of the experience that you've had, it puts you into the hermit mode. I feel like a lot of you started to kind of discover that you needed to go into that hermit mode, and you started to make, some changes towards that, which was in 2019. You started to kind of get yourself to be free from the situation that you were a part of that was just like draining all your energy, wasn't creating a lot of room for self-care, wasn't allowing for yourself to dive yourself into, love, or transmute even fear into love, which is who you are, what you do, part of your ability to see a complex situation for what it is and then turn it into something better and organize it. So here, I think you needed to learn how to take a step back and honor cycles of life, which is what the Four of Diamonds is about. There is a time where we have to honor the cycles of life, and we have to sort of realize that there are things that are happening on our journey that allow for us to see something, and sometimes we wish we hadn't seen it. It allows for us to build a deeper connection to what we need in our human journey. Like, what are some of the things that we absolutely need, that everybody needs and everybody should be afforded? Because if we have it, then we come maybe into situations more with honoring and respecting ourselves. And again, nothing new that I'm saying to you. But this situation was tough on you. And that's what I'm seeing here, We have the Queen of Cups above it because you realized that you had to kind of take a step back. You now absolutely know where your heart belongs when it comes to this particular avenue, this particular theme, this particular thing that I'm talking to. And again, it's a general reading. So for some of you, it has a lot to do with your career. And then for some of you, it has a lot to do with passions that you were trying to get yourself into. And there were groups involved. There were other people involved. And you were trying to kind of see, how far you could go with that potential. But you also wanted to do it together with other people. And again, not everybody was seeing eye to eye. And that is because when people feel that they're less than and they're doing something in order to avoid what is behind the feeling of feeling less than, sometimes it can get us into a position where we don't even realize how we're treating the other person or how we are going about life. It's an unconscious thing that we're living out because we have to survive situations, There's so many things that happen to us that in the moment we have to survive it. So we package it in a different kind of a way. And that's the life work that we do here, And so I really, really strongly believe that there was some kind of, with the cards, what the cards are saying, some kind of situation like this that you have experienced. And now what is happening though is that you learned a lot about your very own personal boundaries and how boundaries perhaps were crossed. And things that you saw that you wish that you hadn't seen are now going to turn into a gentle, kinder love towards yourself, a more worthy time of loving the things in your life, embracing those, but also protecting them. And this is really, really important, because now you also see this time around that you are going to be more you, less trying to also allow for other people to kind of rise to that occasion, because you also realize that just you going for what your heart really, really loves and desires sometimes is the best approach. And the reason for that is because then other people get inspired to kind of look within themselves to do the same thing. And perhaps, you know, that is the complexity of this particular past situation that is going to now get healed. And there is sort of that magician also saying that this is your superpower, you know, being able to look at a similar situation. Perhaps that fear might come around one more time, but you're realizing that you're in a lot more of a solid, you know, place. So you don't have to stay there, right? Which I feel like you might also say to yourself this month that you have to do maybe more work around it. And the answer is no, you're done. If you're watching this reading, you're done. You don't have to do more work around that. Like, you are good to go. That's what I'm seeing here with the Four of Diamonds. The World card is going to be then an energy that you're closing out with, and you are going to realize that there's a huge phase in your life that is completing with this opportunity that's coming through, with you making this realization about the past, with you focusing on the things that you love. And the World card over here basically just says like, wow, you know, yeah, I'm going to meet you halfway. I'm the universe. I'm going to meet you halfway. We're going to be creating a good outcome. And the good outcome is going to be for you to shift your energy and to like really just get your life to a place where you know where your energy belongs. And it's going to feel like it's the right fit, because your heart belongs there, you belong there, the money is good. Something about money is going to be really a better outcome this month. And so you're able to see your role and how far your support also needs to go out there into this new opportunity, and what exactly you are going to be doing as far as your role. Okay, so another thing that I'm seeing, another picture that is coming through for me, for a lot of you guys, is that you are going to be also, if you're in a position where you can invest into land, you are investing your time or your money into land or some kind of real estate endeavor. And what you are doing there is that you might even be in a place where you are going to do something with that land, or you're thinking about getting extra like property or an extra space. It doesn't have to be just land, right? It could be like an extra space for a really good price, because you are planning on doing something for the future. There is a desire, a goal you have. You know that you belong there. So if you're going to a destination, or I see that a lot of you are going to be looking something up online, I see that image, and then you get super curious about it, and it's not going to leave your mind. That's what I'm seeing here as well with this. I do want to pull one more card to see what you're walking away with this month. What is the energy that you're going to be walking away with and carrying forward into the next cycle, into the next phase? What's really important? I don't need to say anything else. I'm just going to let that card land here for a moment. We don't even need to clarify it. Can you just feel the emotion from this card? Happiness. I'm laughing because like, it's just so good, you know? If you're here and you feel that you needed to just kind of hear again that you're on the right path, if you have not watched this entire reading and you're just at this portion, I just want you to know
whatever you're doing right now, it is happening to put you onto the right path, which is the feeling from deep within. And it's joy. It is healing. It is the soul that is ever present. So I just love this for you, Aquarius. It just brought me joy. Okay, so let's take a look at your spiritual cards. The first card that we have is Wonders. The second card is Healing Chaos. Yeah, you are in the wonder of pleasure. You're in the wonder of letting sort of things go that were going against opening your heart. Navigating out of that time, coming into a more open heart place where you will also be able to use your voice. You're going to be using your voice. There is a levity. Okay, there's levity. I feel like that's what I'm going to call your reading. Levity, trusting your voice is huge this month. Opening your heart, playing with new ways on how to explore, life, how to dive into the pleasures of life. And, it's going to be something explorative, and it's also going to involve another relationship, which is awesome. And then from here, you're able to see the beauty of seasons. You're able to grasp a restoration, a connection to spirit, your spirit. Sometimes it's such an intimate experience, we can't even translate it in a tarot reading, or we can't say it. Our words don't do justice. And so I feel like you're walking away this month with this feeling that you cannot describe what you are experiencing. It can only be experienced. Okay, like it can be seen and lived, but you cannot describe it. So here, another card that I pulled that I thought was really important is the chameleon spirit here from another deck that I have. That's the card that fell out. Act as if. Wow. There is a sort of a thought or an epiphany that comes through right around the 24th, 25th, 26th about something you were wondering about life. You were wondering about sort of this aspect about life and how it really worked. You've been contemplating, you've been in inquiry about. And the chameleon spirit, I feel like here is basically saying you are going to come about something that you're going to read, you're going to hear. You are coming across someone who has a lot of inspiration to offer. And I see that you are going to then have an epiphany. Whatever they're saying might be so small at the time, or it might not have a whole lot of weight to it. But then later you're like, that was it. And it sort of answers this question that you've had about human life and this aspect on how our mind works. So it has to do with our mind, but it also has to do with communication. I am going to pull one last card for you, Aquarius. What a beautiful reading. I'm so happy for you guys. I have a lot of Aquariuses in my life, and I have to say, you guys are just incredible. Oh, this was just part of an explanation, so we're going to put this aside. Armor. Beautiful. A new armor. One that, is for you. It fits you. It is the exact design for you. It is a protection. Remember? It's a protection. It's a boundary. Armor is also a boundary, right? There is a protection that you have now that you don't have to worry about. It is given to you. It is your own inner, government. How you govern over yourself with this armor is going to bring new cause in your life. And this new cause comes with new partners. It comes with new feelings, new friends, new people. All new. It is very much of a breakthrough. And that's what I'm seeing here for you, Aquarius. All right, Aquarius. So here is your reading for the new moon Taurus. And this is really interesting because there's such an energy shift from last month. And what you're focusing on a lot this month has to do with closing out a particular challenge that you had. You started something, and I see for majority of the Aquariuses, 3 areas that you were basically facing some kind of a challenge that you're trying to overcome. And these 3 areas, they have to do either with wanting to expand family, okay? Wanting to expand your family, wanting to kind of, create more abundance in that area. It may have to do with a partner. So you wanted to maybe change a little bit of your lifestyle or something in regards to your lifestyle that also impacted your overall body, something like that. And I also see that for the third option here, that a lot of the Aquariuses are trying to overcome maybe something that they're trying to heal within their lifestyle, but it also directly impacts what you can and cannot do from day to day. So you come into the month, your mind basically being on this area because it's time for you to move the last pieces, but there is a very important person that is going to be helping you here. So there's help that's coming through another person. This person is in a water sign. This person also has earth signs, but it's very particular what they are going to be helping you with. It's very much about the impacts of the past, but also about what you need to do in order to actually make a change in this area. And I think that what you're realizing is that there is sort of a rebirth that is going to come out of this, but you are not going to be able to kind of figure it out right away how or what this is going to look like. But there is hope. There's now hope because of this piece of information that comes through that you will be considering. You'll be considering a lot. Then there is some clarity in regards to why things weren't working out the way that they have, because you're going to be able to get the information in regards to you specifically, why it didn't work out. And then also why you weren't able to kind of, you were basically impatient. That's what I'm seeing here with the 6 of Wands, you're starting to actually even be impatient with this particular process that you're in right now, because this is something that you have been wanting for such a long time. And so here you're doing some work in regards to your roots, in regards to staying, in the present moment so that you can move on into the future. And it requires a new plan. So it kind of rocks you a little bit this month. Okay. That is what the 9 of Swords is going to be about. It's just that you need a new plan. You're also going to be releasing quite a bit of this, thing that you feel that, has been such a big part of your life. A lot of you have been working on this or wishing for this particular outcome for a really long time. So you're moving this process forward now, which is very good news. Okay, so let's dive right into the clarification of the cards, because I want to make sure that we are getting right into this reading, since this is going to be another beautiful month where you're going to see some forward progress in a specific area of your life. So really, really interesting. So what you're moving is getting in touch with what you need to hear, okay, in regards to this particular matter. Again, 3 different areas, but all 3 that I just mentioned, whether that has to do with your body and improving your health, whether that has to do with expanding family. Maybe some of you wanted to get pregnant. I don't know why this keeps coming up for me for you, but some of you could have been working on some kind of pregnancy. Or the third option is that you just felt like you may have been dealing with something that impacted your health and you're trying to find a solution for it, okay? Again, I'm not a health professional. You guys will have to navigate this reading and see how it fits into your life. I can only give some general areas, but I do see that this has to do with your lifestyle. So what you're realizing that you come into this month with, you're having a very important exchange with another person. And what you're realizing is that what you're finding out about yourself is that you need to forgive yourself. This is huge. Okay, this is very much a time where you're going to be able to pull back, and you're able to kind of take a look at the situation and go, okay, I'm going to be more gentle. I'm going to be more patient. The world is healing. The world that I'm in is healing now. And you're going to get this validation very strongly. The Four of Clubs is going to be a time for you, I feel, where you're going to be able to really understand that it's time to cleanse your body, mind, and your environment of toxins. There's something about toxins that comes up, but it's the start of it, okay? Why am I saying that? Because the devil is reversed right underneath it. Okay, so we're seeing that there's something that created sort of an attachment. This is what we see with the devil card. It is an attachment, but there is a breakthrough that is happening with it. And, you know, the way that things are going to work out, you're going to be really, really happy that it has taken you to this point, that it's working out in this kind of a way now. But again, it's an unfoldment of it almost every single day. So interesting. So then we go into the Queen of Wands energy, okay? And the Queen of Wands energy, what is it bringing you? What is it that you are to root yourself into, okay? The Queen of Wands energy is a very sexual energy. It is an energy that is very, you know, much related to fire. Why? Because the wands are related to fire. But when you are looking at the Queen of Wands energy, she's got the candles all around her. They're all lit up. That fire symbol is right there. She is sitting with a cat in front of her. This is a protection, a loyalty from the other realms. Okay, so a lot of what's going to happen this month is going to feel very fated. It is going to feel like this is like a turn of events for you. And it is going to be, in a lot of ways, a rebirth. And you're going to be able to honor, again, the last cycle and many other cycles before then. So you're also understanding why actually things have been the way that they have been since 2018. This year somehow plays a really big role for a lot of you Aquariuses. So what you are also, I feel like, going to be diving into with the Queen of Wands energy this month is you are actually in rhythm with your life. Perhaps before you felt like that it had to do with you. There was something wrong with you. You weren't moving it forward a particular way. Maybe you weren't getting it. Maybe you weren't getting the exact information you were looking for. And what you're realizing now is that you actually are in rhythm with your life. That there is moments where we have to honor certain natural cycles. And that is what this, I feel like, is going to be about for you. I very much feel like that a lot of you are going to also be in this place where you're going to feel that you're going to want to move your body. So you're going to pick up some things like a new kind of routine that you might do maybe for the long term, maybe even just for this period. But it has to do with dancing. It has to do with releasing. It has to do with sort of like flowing. It could be yoga, but something where you're allowing for your body to move to music. That's another thing that is coming up for me for you here. You're going to be moving closer towards that. I think that you're going to pick it up like right around that full moon. Yes. So the Two of Wands right over here. This is hope in regards to this lifestyle challenge that you've had. And it is also very much connected to some kind of grieving that is going to come out of this naturally. And the grieving has to do with the fact that you have been maybe in this state. You may have like experienced the grievance about this thing that you really wanted to make happen in your life. But right now, I think that what you are doing is you're welcoming a new possibility. You're welcoming a new beginning, and with that comes a new responsibility. The devil is reversed. So whatever was in the way, it is moving out of the way. Whatever it was that you wanted to accomplish, it is now going to be moved out of the way because of what you're finding out. So if you've been consulting with someone, if you're going to go see someone, or if you had like just an intention even to try to, you know, get to a solution so you can further free yourself, because this is what you're working on all throughout the season. Well, the clarity is here. And the clarity starts to kick in, this new responsibility that starts to kick in, has a lot to do with you feeling like you're really wanting to heal yourself. You want to be your own medicine. You want to be your own healer. And you also want to perhaps like be a little bit more in this place where you're gonna have like the light bulbs go on. It's like the clarity is starting to set in about what has happened, why it happened, because sometimes time does heal. You know, the passing of time is really important here as you reflect upon what has happened, because you're getting that opportunity all month long to be in this space where you're processing a lot of what has been going on in your life. And it is like there is a wisdom that comes with it, but it's not just like, oh, you're connecting the dots, there's a wisdom that comes with it. No, it's deeper than that. It is an emotional wisdom. It is a wisdom that has a lot to do with this life and what this life has to offer. And it goes a layer deeper, because often the very thing that we experience that is in our way that creates a challenge is that very thing that gives us the key. What does it give the key to? To be better to ourselves, to be better to the people around us, to be better in general to ourselves and the lives that we're living, and to be in a place of more acceptance of everything that happens here in the earthly time, in the earthly time frame. And I think for you, this is huge. You know, we've got the 9 here and the 9 there. These are completion energies that have a lot to do with how they've impacted you, impacted your body, impacted your psychology, impacted, you know, your emotions. And so now you're leveling up. And you're leveling up because you get an opportunity here to actually connect to what you need in order to process this, you know, thing that has been just a challenge. And I feel like a lot of you have also been somewhat quiet about it. You may have been sort of in the background even, just kind of wishing for it, hoping for it, and you didn't maybe share it because you wanted to protect it. There's protection energy that comes with it as well. And so what is happening now and how to navigate the 6 of Wands energy, we have the 6 of Spades on top of it. Wow, you know, to navigate this energy, to really dig in, to understand the past, which the 6 of Wands has to do with, why in the past you have been feeling all these things. It is directly correlated now what you need to feel, what you need to basically give birth to in your life, which has a lot to do with the rhythm that you're in right now. It has a lot to do with giving and receiving and a balance of that, because the giving and receiving in your life is actually a lot more present now than it was before, and how you've treated yourself as a result of it, because perhaps you were only in the giving mode, and now the 6 of Spades says it's time to devote. It's time to devote to the things that, you know, make you dance, to the things that give you nature's intelligence that runs through you. And that respect, that nature's respect that we are, you know, connecting to, that we're honoring within ourselves, and the intelligence of life that then runs through us, allows for us to naturally devote into a process that makes sense for us, and it feeds our soul. And that is what I feel like that this has to do with for you. So it's a very, it's a huge month in that you, because the predominant energy here is the 4 of Clubs, there is a lot of processing of yourself and what has happened as a result in your emotional world. So this is huge, you know. And then we have the Death card right after. Well, this has to do with your roots, though. That's what I'm seeing here. It has to do with your roots. It has a lot to do with you understanding. Again, it ties into the past, you know. The King of Spades came up. You're going to really get over and triumph over something that has been going on for quite some time, but it is directly correlated to family or lineage. Yep, family, lineage, roots. And it has to do with the word trust. This is another thing that comes up for me for you. It has to do with trust. To trust what it is that you feel. You have the Two of Hearts. Also communicating to that King of Spades. You know, it's the time that you're in now to make a new plan. And this piece of information gives you that hope, but it moves this other energy that maybe you thought you didn't even have to move. Honestly, maybe you thought you didn't have to move it. So you're perhaps also realizing, for some of you, even though we don't have any diamond cards here, okay, which the diamond have, you know, very often to do with money. Another thing that is coming up for me for you here, now that like the money situation is starting to come into a space where it's more preferred or there's hope around it. Another thing that I feel like you're going to realize is that a lot of what you've been giving directly correlated your energy, where your energy kind of drained, had a lot to do with money and time. And that basically hindered the solution to this challenge that you are looking at. And so what you're doing now is you're re-evaluating it. And you're going to do things, sorry about that, you're going to do things very differently. You're going to do things in a way that makes a lot more sense to your well-being overall, general, okay? So this is really interesting. Okay, it comes also with letting go. You may even have to kind of go over some things. I don't know why the computer just popped into my head, but like you need to sit on the laptop and maybe research certain things a little bit more. You also have to take a look at perhaps now, whatever it is that you're working through that you're letting go of more. You're also going to have to see, how do you want to really feel moving forward, taking on this new responsibility in the day-to-day? That's another thing that is going to be coming up. But whatever this thing is, you are going to be able to see the bigger picture. You're going to when you put the plan together, everything is going to make sense. I see you guys putting a plan together. It directly ties into three things: lineage, family, and roots. It is born out of it. The Nine of Swords says that is what we're looking at. You're going to be visiting your roots, or there's sort of a spiritual tie back into the past that is happening here for you. I also feel that for some of you, it may even have to do with some like shamanistic work, some work that is deep with a deep healer. Could be that you're meeting a healer that is going to be able to do the kind of work you're looking to do on yourself. So you're giving yourself a gift here. And that's what I'm seeing. Okay. Whatever the solution is, what the remedy is there, and you're going to be able to connect to it. But it's going to all depend on whether you're willing to tear down the limitations. Are you willing to do it? Because the energy is there. The energy is coming up. You may not. Are you doubting it? Something about this is coming up. Because you're feeling impatient. Something about patience. I'm going to clarify one more time to go a layer deeper with another set of cards. So I feel like for you, Aquarius, we're going to take a look at that energy a little bit more. Another layer. The Four of Clubs. Interesting. Yep. An energy that was super stagnant. It's moving out of your life. It comes with a time where I feel like you are going to understand that even if you felt like you were impatient, you were actually a lot more patient than you realized, and that you are going to be now in a place where you know certain things have to end. You know, another thing that's coming up for me for you is that some of you are involved in a particular responsibility. You don't want to hold that anymore, or you're seeing for the first time it's a dead end. It's not going to lead you anywhere. So perhaps you have been also a little bit secretive about that. I don't know why this is coming up for me for you. You have been maybe a little bit secretive about that. You're going to move this energy because everything in this particular phase is calling for it, and your attention is going there. you are to let it go now. Like it's going to be knocking on your door, which is a very beautiful thing, Aquarius. Like it's a very beautiful thing because, you know, this is going to be sudden but welcomed by you because you're ready for it. And if you've been wondering, remember how we were saying in the very beginning that you have been wanting to make some plans, but then you knew it was kind of not the right time. This is the time. This is why. It's directly correlated to this challenge you were dealing with. And this is the time because you're moving that energy out. And the way you're moving this energy out is through knowledge, new pieces of information. The bird came up. The bird is also a very, you know, hopeful message. The bird is also a very initiating message, you know. That's what this bird is all about. It's about the truth. Because you are like giving more into the truth of your body, mind, and soul. Okay? And then what is happening is that you understand now what it is that you need to heal, what it is that you need to do. The ingredient shows up. The rose is a high frequency flower, the highest frequency out of all the flowers, because they can measure the frequencies now in flowers, you know. And it's the highest frequency. You're connecting to what you need to connect to. So whatever you're letting go, boom, 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 pathway opens up. A new path opens up. And this path for a lot of you, you know, again, like I said, it has to do with the metaphysical. It has to do with healing through sort of unconventional ways. It has to do maybe with Reiki, with ayahuasca, with like something like this is going to come up that you are going to be exploring shamanistic ways even to kind of heal yourself, because it is about what the earth has to offer. So it's kind of correlated to that. Okay. And then here, this has to do with your time and your money. And it has to do with like that you just want to hold a different kind of boundary with yourself, and that nobody else is above you for this information. And that is another thing that you're realizing here as well. You may have put some people above you, kind of, not in a bad way, but sometimes, you know, when we don't have relationships with certain people that have an expertise in a particular area, when they don't empower you to think for yourself as well and to make an empowered choice for you as well in a partnership together like that, sometimes it can end up where you miss the fact that you didn't make that choice. Maybe you thought that somebody knew better than you would know, but you are the only person that's in your body. You're the only person that would know how to really go about this. You have the last word, and that's what the crown here is saying. Okay. Yep. Look at this. It's a new house. An old house structure has to come down so that you can build a new one. Really, like, wow. We have to hammer. You have to make a choice. You have to put your foot down. And then the choice that you're making is going to be your power, empowerment. It's going to be you reconnecting with family, reconnecting even, you know, I say family and I say roots, right? But really it has to do with like you healing something that was a part of you, but maybe was tainted. You know what I mean? Like maybe, I don't know, I'm like speaking about something that I feel like I need to share with you. Sometimes like what happens is when we grow up, there's a particular thing that could happen and it directly goes against to the kind of culture we're from or the kind of roots that we're from. And then as a result of it, all of our life, we kind of have this really, you know, mixed signal kind of relationship to this aspect of our life. That is going to get resolved here. That's what I'm seeing. Okay. And I feel like that is going to be really, really big and important for you. So that's what I'm seeing here. Let's take a look at your spiritual messages. What an interesting turn of events. But whatever this is, it's going to be really good. It's just so like radically like liberating. Okay. Release. Wow. Release. We have the vulture spirit. Wow. The vulture spirit, you know, vultures are interesting. And here's why. Vultures, you know, when they, we actually have quite a bit of vultures living here, around here, where I'm from. I mean, not where I'm from, but where I'm living. And I have to say that the vulture spirit, the vulture in and of itself, they gather together, you know, like if you watch them, they gather together. They usually are like in groups. Okay, they're like on the roof, or sometimes, you know, we'll see them when we take our dog for a walk. We'll see the vulture at like a gathering of vultures on the field, at a football field where we kind of walk our dog. And there's like, I don't know, 10 of them or so. And what they do is they spread their wings out and they let the wings kind of stay out under the sun for like several minutes. And I always wondered why they were doing that. You know, it always looks like they're having a secret meeting. But the reason why they're doing that, they come together because they are actually very loyal to their group. Like it's a creature that's super loyal to their group. So they travel together, rarely alone. And then the reason why they spread their wings is because so that they can absorb more of the sunlight, more of the vitamin D, which also kills any of the germs that are underneath their wings, which I had no idea, you know, like I didn't know why they were doing that. I always wondered about it until I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and then we started taking a look into this particular, you know, animal, this particular creature. And yeah, the reason why they're doing it is because they're killing germs. So it's a deeply detoxifying time, whether that is now going to be in the metaphysical or whether that is going to be now in another sense for you. The vulture spirit is basically saying, you know, underneath it, it says nothing is wasted. That is very important as well, because you are going to be realizing that any resource that you used up until this point was the right thing. Because who you are in your spirit is someone who's been wanting to overcome this. And that is what I'm seeing here for you, Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, so we're moving on to the last phase, a very big phase. It is going to be a new moon in Gemini. It is the solar eclipse in Gemini. And so what we're going to be taking a look at here for you in particular is that, well, there is a lunar eclipse and then there is a solar eclipse, right? That lunar eclipse was definitely cutting things out of your life. That is what it is for everyone. For everyone, also that solar eclipse is bringing something and recharging something, bringing vitality in certain areas of our life. So the first phase, as you remember, we were talking about levity. That levity is continuing on into the second and the third phase. You really trusting your voice, and the things that are coming up for you right now are very much to do with bringing more happiness and bringing more pleasures into your life, but then also at the same time making them work with your roots and your roots all the way back into you know, basically your past and in the present and into the future. And this month or this phase, what you're doing is you're merging all of those things together. And it is going to be another big energy shift for you. Like I feel like in your reading, what we've discovered so far is that every single one of these phases is rolling into the other, but it is also coming with big energy shifts. So right now, what I believe that you're going to be taking a look at is making major financial new commitments, and also ways in which you're going to be reorganizing your finances. You're also going to be dealing with a situation that ties into your emotions. You feel very different towards certain aspects of your life with relationships. And it has two categories here. One is going to be romantic, and then the other one is also going to be with family or people you consider to be family. So there's, again, very important relationships that play a role here, that you're going to be beginning something new in that area. And then the third portion here is you realize that what in your life is actually creating a lot more fear than you realized before. And then working through those fears, we're going to clarify all of this. The Seven of Wands also says that you are at a place where you're going to be now just realizing that you've reached a certain point, you have proved a certain point, and now what you're doing is you're just building upon it. And that is going to be really, really important here with the Seven of Wands as well, directly above that Six of Cups. That emotional support is there, that emotional clarity and the balance and the harmony is there in order for you to understand that right now, the sacrifices that you're going to be making will be paying off for the long term. But again, we're going to dive into all of this. All right, so we're going to start with the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles, it has to do with reorganizing finances and also letting go of old obligations, in particular for this phase. Many of you are going to be in a position where you're going to have to make a major choice when it comes to how you would like to move forward in regards to what's very close to your heart. This is going to be something that's very close to your heart. It has to do with your purpose. It has to do with a new purpose that is emerging. We see that with the Ace of Cups right next to it. It has to do with being able to step into the next step and the next phase in your life and seeing the bigger picture. You're having a change of heart in regards to this big picture. So tons of movement in regards to this. For some of you, if you have children, if you are married, if you're in a committed partnership, this decision comes together with those things in mind. If you are single, this will have to do with you investing your time into a company, or literally it's going to feel like you're marrying a new kind of commitment. But the word marriage comes up with this King of Pentacles for you guys. What I'm seeing here, it has to do with kind of letting go of old obligations so that you can step into a much bigger kind of a role, or it's going to feel like you're stepping into a bigger role here. So there is going to be a lot that is going to be on your mind when it comes to your purpose. So a lot of that kind of a theme is going to be in the forefront of your mind. The third thing that I'm seeing, because this is a general reading, it's going to be, I'm trying to narrow it down for you guys as much as possible. The third thing that I'm seeing for some of you Aquariuses is that there is family money that ties into it, or some kind of money that feels like that you have built over time. So perhaps something that you invested into, or you're looking to make more investments, but it's a big thing and it ties directly into kind of family traditions. It doesn't have to be in the way in which we talk about like old school, right? It doesn't have to be like old family money or something like that. It could be that it just has that vibe, you worked for it really hard. It's coming to the next step. And so now what you're doing is out of that is born a new idea that has a lot to do with, creating something that people need. If you are involved in a business like this, if you are in a position where you are, creating something that people need, this is happening now and coming into a manifestation out into reality right in front of you now, because we've got the King of Pentacles, we have the Ten of Pentacles. These are the higher frequency, higher manifestations of anything we're working towards with money, with managing money, but it's bigger than that because it comes with a purpose. It comes with a soul lesson, a particular phase that we're completing. And so that is what I'm seeing here for you. So that's the first thing that I wanted to say. The Ace of Cups is a change of heart because you're feeling something new now towards your future. You're feeling that your obligations are changing towards your future. But this is not because the obligations only in your environment are changing. This has to do with you feeling just so different about the future and feeling like a lot of the stuff that you're wanting to do has to do with the kind of service mind that you have now. Like you're wanting to be in service, you're wanting to create something that is going to help people to overcome obstacles. And so this is kind of the role that you're stepping into. For some of you, this will have to do, again, with children. I see that somehow children are involved, or if you've been wanting to kind of create an expansion of your family or something within the family dynamics that you've been trying to reorganize, new emotions are coming up and you are going to feel really happy with the way in which you're feeling now and what it is that you're aiming for. This Ace of Cups comes with a new aim. The Seven of Wands is a interesting vibe here that follows after that Ace of Cups, because this Seven of Wands basically says you have to have faith, because there is going to be this transition this month with a change of heart, with reorganizing the finances, with realizing that it's now the time to make these choices. That Seven of Wands says, are you going to have faith in, letting this thing go, so that you can see even more of the bigger picture, so you can see even more of what you actually are in charge of, what comes into your life, what doesn't come into your life. Okay, that Nine of Cups is directly correlated into that. And then the Six of Cups basically just says, like, emotional balance is the promise. It's the promise of this month. This is your promise, emotional balance. That Seven of Wands directly above it says you already are in a position where you've won. You won, and you're realizing that you've won, you've made it here. This has to now do with fears from the past and things that are experienced up until this point that bring humility, but that humility brings also solitude. It also brings a sense of faith, because you can relax now. You've come to this point, and everything you're going to do now comes and sources from that Ten of Pentacles. This is the opportunity this month for you. And I think that this is going to be huge of an impact in your relationships, because there is new values that are going to be charging forward now when it comes to relationships, values within your relationships, even business partnerships, right? For some of you, again, if you're not in committed relationships, but you are living a lifestyle where your work and the purpose in your work is really important. Well, guess what? This is a long-term new commitment that you're signing basically the deal. Okay, this is a new deal that's coming through for some of you. And it's going to be very important to you, because it's going to give you a new drive, a new aim, a new kind of purpose, but also a new willpower, a refreshed willpower. So whatever this new thing is that you're signing, whether literal or as a, agreement, it's going to be fundamental to your life. It's going to be a new fundamental. It's going to be new infrastructure to your life. And I think it becomes very obvious and very important this month to understand that, you created it. You did it. You created it. You're extraordinary. Not that you didn't know that before, but I think that there is a celebration that is going to come out of this towards the end of the month. We're going to take a look at these cards here in just a moment, because these are just going to be minor things that are going to be like minor kind of hiccups. The Five of Wands, the Seven of Swords, we're going to clarify that. But ultimately this month you're walking away with a celebration. Now, because you're moving the energy the way that you are, and because it is coming in such a reinventive kind of a way, that Nine of Cups is going to basically bring something up within family, okay? Couple of things, again, I'm going to try to narrow it down. These are the things and the images that I saw when I pulled that Nine of Cups. Someone is in your life right now that is part of family or considered family that is struggling. And so this is someone perhaps where either you are going to be playing a nurturing role, or they have played a nurturing role in your life, left a really big impact, and there is something to do about it. We're going to clarify it. The second thing that I'm seeing with the Nine of Cups is that there are relationship boundaries. There are relationships where boundaries have been crossed, okay? And it has to do, again, it ties into where you felt uncomfortable in the past. You allowed for it to happen. But you're seeing now why you allowed for that to happen, or what the impacts have been. Either you as a mom, or you as someone who is nurturing, or as a dad, like a parental role somehow comes up for you here. The Nine of Cups has a lot to do with that. The Nine of Cups also has a lot to do with the fact that, you might be in this place where, if it was a positive experience, it comes sort of with this like, let's say that you have a relationship where someone is struggling in your life that, you know, this person like needs your help now. This comes a little bit with this, like this shock that you are in this new phase. There is an acceptance of that is having to happen, okay? The Nine of Cups here in this picture, of course, you know, she's throwing her hands up in the air. She's completely free, right? But the way in which the card is positioned, it is going to be a time where you will have, because it's the 9 and it's the cups, it's an emotional letting go that has to happen in order for you to free this aspect of your life. So there might be some things that you have to sort of consider doing here that you've never considered doing, okay? So again, this will have to do either with someone in your life that is going to need your help. You're going to step into that picture. You're going to find a solution. This might be some kind of impacts by someone who played a role in your life that, you know, really impacted the way in which you felt all across the board. And you're going to find a solution for that now because you're in a place where you're going to just kind of come close to the edge of, oh, this is what it was, you know, now I'm seeing what it needed to be and how to move this energy. And this is how my comfort levels were crossed. The third option is going to be that just, it might not be someone like that in your life, but you're just realizing now for the very first time that you're very much accepting of things that need protection. So this is going to be a key component here for you to work, the Nine of Cups, okay? You might just realize the way that the card is positioned that you must have faith in understanding the initial emotion that comes up towards things that might enter your space that are not supposed to be there. That is literally what you're taking a look at here with the combo of these cards. From the 9, you go back to the 6. At the 6, this is a triad number, okay? Things that used to trine, things that used to, from the 3 to the 6 to the 9, okay? In numerology, that's a triad family, okay? These numbers work together. So you're going from the 9 to the 6. In the 6, you have to sort of go back to understanding what are the things that you basically need and naturally connect to that bring you balance so that you can, you know, move on to a 9 that is better. All right. So that's what I'm seeing here as far as like the emotions. Trusting your comfort, trusting, you know, the things in your life or someone in your life that is really important that is also going to be giving you advice here. That's another thing that is going to be coming. So, all right, that was a lot. We're not quite done yet. We're going to clarify. The stuff that I want to clarify here is I definitely want to clarify the middle row for you. I would like to clarify the 7 of Wands and then the rest of the cards. I feel like the financial aspect is just super clear. There's not a whole lot that we need to take a look at. So the King of Pentacles is the predominant energy though, all throughout the month. This is for you to release sort of more things that had control in your life or were controlling you, or you needed to control them, manage them. And now you're getting into a position where you're able to kind of release that control. There's a natural sense of surrender that is going to come at the end of this cycle. The Ace of Cups, this is an ending and a new beginning, okay? An ending and a new beginning that is allowing for you to move forward. It has a lot to do with not clinging on to possessions and just facing forward. The 3 of Spades is a forward-moving card. It is a fast-moving card. It requires your effort, okay? So you are going to be very much in the space where you are going to put in the effort to move things forward because you're letting go of old ways in which you used to think, and you're understanding that you're broadening your perspective by having faith in the process that you're in, because there is something that you need to cut out of your life, right? Like there's something you need to cut out of your life, and the moment you cut it out of your life, your perspective starts to like open up because there's new energies that are able to come into your space, you know? When the cup is full, we have to empty the cup in order to refill it. And that's pretty much what you're taking a look at here. You're also going to be in touch with someone who is teaching you a lot and giving you sort of very many ideas about this aspect of your life. It could be, I don't know, it could be a therapist, could be someone who is in your life that is a coach, a mentor, someone like this. And as a result, this also fuels your ability to speak from a new perspective somehow. You know, there's like some kind of exchange or coaching going on from someone who is going to be helping you as well. And I think that you are going to be in this place where you are reigniting your faith in miracles. I know it sounds really weird, but I feel like the 7 of Wands here with the different colors, that's like miracles happening in your life that you are really grateful for. You're walking away with a lot of, gratitude for these things. And you're also releasing more fears as a result of it. Okay, the 10 of Pentacles then says you have this natural like presence and patience that then allows for you to take a look at this situation that you are answering to within you first. It has to do with things that are currently in your space that have to do with your comfort, your home, your family, your roots. It could be all of those. It could be just one of those. And could also be with a very important relationship in your life that used to nurture you, used to show up for you. Something about it is heartbreaking this month. You are having the 7 of Hearts. The 7 is a card that initiates something that we're awakening to. The 7 strikes like a lightning bolt. Okay, if you see the way that the 7 is here in the card, it has a line on the top, a straight line down to the earth. This is a reinventing time because this area, whatever this is, as far as your comfort level goes, that's what we know. It has to do with you having to reinvent this, but it comes with a natural sense of sort of having to answer within you. You have to answer within you first. You need to maybe disconnect yourself for a couple of days, for a couple of hours, and just reconcile your mind and heart. For some of you, I see that whatever is coming through, you having to reconcile your heart. And the best way to navigate this is to allow for those emotions to come up, because this is going to be something that is not going to be long. Like, it's short-lived as far as like the awakening to this news or awakening to this thing in your life that is close to you. Okay, it's close to you. It's not an easy card to navigate, but it is a card that is necessary because it's part of the cycles that we're in. And so I feel like the 7 of Hearts basically just says it's time. It's time to give space for this emotion. And you're going to learn a lot about the way in which you also think during this time. You're going to learn a lot of things that you didn't know about yourself, about this theme of comfort, this theme of home, this theme of like what you love. Okay, that is another thing that I'm seeing here as well. The Jack of Clubs is a card that basically says you're going to be reinventing this time and doing everything from your heart. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a time, I think, that maybe comes with a little bit of a shock. It could also be as simple as you thought something was going to happen in your life, you were counting on a particular aspect in your life, and it just is not going to happen the way that you thought because something better is showing up. You're going back to the 6, something better, something that you really, really need. It comes with clarity. It comes with a new and an old kind of flavor, but it merges with those two because we have the 9 followed by the 6 of Cups. Okay, so the 6 of Cups, we're going to clarify it. There is a promise that comes at the end of this cycle, and that's what the cards are saying here. That's what the cards are communicating. Well, we had a couple of cards that wanted to fall out, but not quite. We have to keep shuffling. Okay, so the 6 of Cups, in a sense, also comes with you not jumping to conclusions. That's sort of the relationship emotionally, jumping to conclusions, because the first initial reaction, take a couple of days out, reconcile your mind, because when you come back to it, you see that that was just the initial reaction, that you are in a place where you can allow for things to shift naturally. 6 of Cups. Okay, you're in a much better place than what you think initially, I think. And that is what I meant with the shock aspect. Okay, so let's take a look at the Six of Cups. Nothing is falling out. Tons of cards. So what I'm going to do is, to clarify the Six of Cups, I'm just going to take these cards and turn them around so that we can just kind of really dive into the Six of Cups. What is the Six of Cups all about? Why are you going back there? And what is that the messages are? Well, you're emotionally to kind of see something you had not seen before. You are to basically be in a place where you can begin to see the things that needed protection in your life emotionally, okay? Because the things that needed protection in your life, that theme is coming up with that Six of Cups. That's the whole energy here that we're discussing. The Ace of Hearts is basically another validation that what is ending also comes with a new beginning. So you're going back to the Ace. Whatever it is that's ending right now in your life that was very close to you, very personal to you, so close to your heart, like it also brings new life. It brings a new emotion that comes with it. And you are able to quicker release the things that emotionally used to have a lot of grip on you. They used to, just kind of maybe put you into a place of confusion. There is no more confusion here because you are sort of fast tracking emotionally through this thing that you're letting go, okay? And then what's also happening is a new strength is reborn out of it, and you're able to take a look at situations that require faith from a completely different angle, okay? That's what I'm seeing here with the Six of Cups. That was pretty clear. We're going to turn these cards around, and then I also want to clarify the Five of Wands and the Seven of Swords. Before we go into the clarification, I want to just say that I believe that the Five of Wands and the Seven of Swords directly tie into that King of Pentacles energy. Letting go of certain financial obligations this month or responsibilities so that you can do something new. It may require for you to let certain people know that are a part of this decision making. You cannot be afraid to disappoint them. I feel like that is something that is coming up here with the Five of Wands and the Seven of Swords. There is sort of a fear to speak up about it. It has nothing to do with someone else. It has everything to do with you just not wanting to disappoint someone. Who is that person? Why is that coming up very strongly for me, for you? We're going to clarify. The Five of Wands is an energy here that says you are going to be in a place where you're going to feel very passionate. You're going to feel very like shaken up a little bit. Okay. I say this very often. The Five of Wands is a card of needing to go work out or needing to go to like a sauna and sweat, because it allows for the energy to kind of calm down so you can see it a little bit better. So I just wanted to mention that might help here. Okay, so we have the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles here is a card that lets us know that you are going to be in this place where you are kind of letting go of, like, again, these old obligations, financial obligations, things in your life that perhaps you worked really hard for, and there is this attachment here where people judged you for what it was that you were doing or where you were headed or the kind of thing that you were doing and the kind of role that you were even playing. And so a little bit of this flavor is coming back. You are to take a look at this because it's limiting you. It's not allowing for you to kind of, move forward, even though now you're just kind of reviewing this, almost like a last test to your new role that you're stepping into. And then we have the Seven of Swords. You are sort of reminded of a situation in the past with someone, or you are even still tied to this person. You didn't want to disappoint them. You are having this change of heart. Your whole life is changing here. And so you're needing to communicate something. And there is a fear that might be coming up that you are going to be disappointing other people or that they will have that. But what actually is going to happen is that the moment that you share from what you're really passionate about, what you need to do for you, the response is going to be a lot better than what you thought. So this is just kind of like a mind thing that is going to come up. Practice contemplation, practice mindfulness with yourself so that you can get what it is that you need to communicate clearly out into the open. Okay. So that's what I'm seeing here. Overall, the energy, wow, there's so much happening. Just again, the message here is you're on the right path. You are getting all of that validation. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn these cards around and we're going to take a look at your spiritual messages. Yes, we get the validation here. A new beginning is happening. Stay open. Okay. This month is really here for you to be open to all that is happening and shifting, and allowing for those shifts to happen naturally is going to be key. There is an illumination of a situation that is not going to be easy to navigate at first, but let your spirit lead. Okay, let your spirit lead. All the answers are within you. Stillness is so important because in that stillness, you're going to see that everything is in perfect order. You're going to see that you're able to trust everything that is unfolding in your life. And most importantly, to trust and reconcile that trust within yourself. We also have the sandpiper spirit, be playful. So that is what I was saying in the very beginning. The energies of pleasure and playfulness, all that from the first phase in the new moon in Aries, that is sort of, going to help you in this particular phase to allow for yourself to be playful when it's necessary. Those kinds of emotions and those kinds of traits are going to be very helpful so that you can allow for yourself to, make these changes so that you can love your life again, right? Like, not that you didn't love it before, but I'm just saying the things that are challenging, in particular, the growth that you are having into the themes that we just experienced. So here it is again a reminder, do things that allow for you to be lighter, do things that allow for you to be playful. We also have the scarab beetle spirit. Magic works through you. And so this is really interesting because, the beetles are an energy here that they look so beautifully colorful. When you take a look at them really close, they have all of these beautiful colors within them. And they are also associated to, especially in the Egyptian times, to times where they appear in like dark spaces. And I think that what you're doing this month is that you're realizing that all of the changes are reconnecting you to the childlike awe within you, okay? The colors within you, the things that are within you. And that is what's allowing for you to actually step into these miracles that are happening. But it's you allowing for that to happen. It's you allowing for the changes to happen. It's you stepping into more joy so that you can actually trust into the divine harmony again. I really think that that is another beautiful reminder here for you this month. And then we have the seahorse spirit. It's funny because they all, the cards are new and they all fell out in order, but I felt like that was totally the message for you. The 53, the seahorse spirit, watch and wait. Absolutely. This really speaks to the family stuff or the roots stuff that is happening this month, or the relationships that are really, really important that comes with what we discussed here in the middle row. The seahorse is a spirit that basically is very dependent on its environment. It doesn't leave its home. And so I'm not saying that you're not going to leave your home or anything like that. I'm just saying that there is a moment here where everything that you are on the verge of making huge decisions over or you are needing to respond to, the seahorse spirit basically says, wait a moment, let it really settle, go to your sanctuary and allow for yourself to respond from that place, because that place is going to give you exactly what it is that you need. That is what I'm seeing here for you, Aquarius, and what a beautiful, beautiful reading. You guys let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this reading and if this reading was helpful to you. Your feedback means a lot. I'm sending you blessings. Have a wonderful season. See you in the next video.